To quote Timothy Leary, surfers are the throwaheads of mankind, not the dregs. They aren't the black sheep of humanity, but the futurists, and they are leading the way to where man ultimately wants to be. The act of the ride is the epitome of be here now, and the tube ride is the most acute form of that, which is your future is right ahead of you, the past is exploding behind you, your wake is disappearing, your footprints are washed from the sand. It's a non-productive, non-depletive act that's done purely for the value of the dance itself, and that is the destiny of man.
I can't preach scientism because I don't believe in it. I can't preach Buddhism because I can't understand it. The only thing I can preach is the felt presence of immediate experience, which for me came through the psychedelics, which are not drugs, but plants. It's a perversion of language to try and derail this thing into talk of drugs. The undefined catalyst that took a very bright monkey and turned that species into a tormented, self-reflecting poet-dreamer, that catalyst has to be sought in these tertiary alkaloids in the food chain that were catalyzing higher states of intellectual activity.
When you take small amounts of psilocybin, there is a measurable increase in visual acuity.
Our culture is in trouble, not trouble. We are at a terminal crisis, a bifurcation that it can only go one of two ways: horror beyond your wildest imagination, or breakthrough to dignity, decency, community, and caring beyond your wildest imagination. Now, where do you look for models? Where do you go? The answer is so obvious. You go to nature. Nature has been playing this game for 3 billion years on this planet. We have been playing the game, we, the apostles of Christian scientism, for about 2,000 years. Nature has an economy, an elegance, a style that if we could but emulate it, we could rise out of the rubble that we are making of the planet. Consciousness is the domain of immediate experience. How are we going to save this planet? How are we going to take the lethal cascade of toxic, technological, and ignorance-producing habits that are loose on this planet and channel them toward some kind of a sane and livable world? We represent a different ontological level in the career of organization because we hope, we despair, we plan, we remember, and we misremember. We lie, we fabricate, we delude ourselves and other people. All of these things are uniquely human functions. It's a prodigal journey into a lower dimension that can now be ended by a collective cultural decision to commit to this Taoist, shamanistic, feminized, cybernetic, caring, aware, present kind of being. I mean, it's nothing more than what each of us is in our very best moments. But we have to extend those very best moments to fill whole lifetimes.
I believe that the whole fall into history, the whole rise of male dominance and patriarchy really can be traced to a broken connection with the living world of the Gaian mind. The living world of the Gaian mind is what shamans access through psychoactive plants. People were nomadic pastoralists. They didn't stay in one fixed area, but rather they followed around behind their flocks, and they, in the manure of these ungulate animals that had evolved with the primates on the grasslands of Africa, was the mushroom. and the mushroom was acting as a tremendous force for directing the evolution of human beings away from that of the rest of the anthropoid apes and toward the unique adaptation that we see as special to human beings today.
You must cut through the aura of programming and cultural assumptions that surround us from the moment we are able to speak. The only way this can be done is by dissolving the boundaries of ego. Ego is a structure that is erected by a neurotic individual who is a member of a neurotic culture against the facts of the matter.
It's like I'm just getting comfortable sitting on top of those really steep 3 or 4 foot waves, looking for a nice exit.
The ego is the function of the personality that is most at home and at ease within the context of history. The only cure or the only treatment that I'm aware of for the calcareous tumor of ego is frequent, repeated exposure to psychedelic plants. This is the essence of their boundary-dissolving function. The ego is a function that has arisen, in a sense, to empower our most lethal tendencies. Because as we look at the earth as it exists today, with rising levels of toxicity and pollution and arms proliferation and so forth and so on, there are no problems that cannot be solved. We have the technology, we have the money, we have the industrial capacity. What we don't have is the plan and the will to execute the plan. So really the change that we and the groaning planet are waiting for is a change in the human mind. It's the human mind that must change.
You accept that the present moment is the richest apex of being, that on the downside back into the past, it shades off into memory and its vagaries. In the future, it shades off into a series of adumbrations and anticipations. I think that the shamans gain this tremendous authenticity that you feel in their presence, the good ones, because they have seen the end. They have a model of how process happens, and so they don't push and they don't clutch, and then energy flows through them. And our civilization has to learn this. Capitalism, it's wonderful that you can get a safety pin at 4 a.m. within a half mile of anywhere in the United States, and I'm sure the Russians wish they had it so good. But is that the be-all and the end-all of cultural values, that you can walk the fluorescent lit aisles of Kmart and congratulate yourself that whether it be gas can, sanitary napkin, or whatever, it's there waiting for you? I don't think so.
There's a general awareness in the youth culture that its elders are handing on to it a looted, polluted planet in which very little planning or provision was made for the saving of resources for any future generation.
I often feel like I don't have anything in common with anyone anymore. No home, no job, no peace, no rest. I'd rather just sit out here like Dr. Manhattan, removed from the world and its problems.
Shamanism, which is the focus of our concern here, is a kind of anticipating of the whole pattern, and that this is really the way to think about shamanism when thinking of it as a force that can steady and complete an individual human life.
psychedelics, which were very big in the 60s in the form of LSD largely, were almost lost sight of in the 70s and the early 80s when the management-oriented yuppie culture came along. But now, with ecology, with feminism, with cyberculture in place and cross-fertilizing each other, psychedelics have become the natural glue for this movement, and they are largely plants. What is going on is an attempt to recapture the shamanistic institutions and styles that existed before history. And this means not only cannabis, which has been with us throughout the 20th century, throughout all the countercultural and alternative moves of the 20th century, but also largely mushrooms, mescaline, and so forth. Special emphasis probably being given to mushrooms, because mushrooms have gone from being an obscure tropical deep forest endemic to being something which can be cultivated in any garage or cellar in the land. I really think that the mushroom growers within the new culture are the alchemists of the new culture. Their formula is rye to mold and mold to gold. And thank God for them, because they then create the juice that fuels the creativity of these other concerns that I've mentioned. Really, the psychedelics, in my view, should be seen as enzymes for the imagination, or catalysts for language. And really what the new youth culture is attempting to do is to reclaim the language-forming machinery for itself. A culture can evolve no faster than its language evolves. What is unspeakable is unthinkable, and consequently part of the task of the new spirituality, of the neo-shamanism, is to empower language to go into areas where it has never gone before, particularly the area of emotion. It's incredible how few words we have for our emotions when we have so very many words for even relatively obscure technical processes. So I see the psychedelics as functioning in two areas. First of all, to catalyze and empower the imagination, and then secondly, to dissolve boundaries between people. I mean, if you look at 25,000 psychedelic experiences, the impression that you will have is this experience is one which dissolves people's boundaries. It doesn't matter whether they're a Hasidic Jew, a Communist Party apparatchik, a rainforest shaman. If they expose themselves to these psychoactive, psychedelic plants, they will call into question their most basic beliefs and assumptions. This is what gives the psychedelics their inevitable political edge, because the establishment and maintenance of boundaries is something that most societies are very concerned with and put a lot of energy into. This is why in the 60s the spread of LSD was viewed with such alarm by the establishment, because it appeared that the machinery of right-thinking Christian capitalist society was simply being dissolved before the startled eyes of its purveyors by virtue of the fact that so many people were calling into question the assumptions of the culture that they were inheriting. Well, now we see something similar coming into being.
We look to these native healers all over the world and study their methods, and their methods are chemical and personal. It's a combination of care, attention, intention, and chemistry that allows consciousness to be made malleable and then recast.
You see, I believe that the whole fall into history the whole rise of male dominance and patriarchy really can be traced to a broken connection with the living world of the Gaian mind. And there's nothing airy-fairy about this notion. The living world of the Gaian mind is what shamans access through psychoactive plants. And without psychoactive plants, that access comes as an unconfirmable rumor. I believe that the social style of human beings 15 to 20,000 years ago was very, very different from the social styles of today. In the first place, people were nomadic pastoralists. They didn't stay in one fixed area, but rather they followed around behind their flocks, and they, in the manure of these ungulate animals that had evolved with the primates on the grasslands of Africa, was the mushroom. And the mushroom was acting as a tremendous force for directing the evolution of human beings away from that of the rest of the anthropoid apes and toward the unique adaptation that we see as special to human beings today. It was doing this through a series of self-reinforcing tendencies that are easily enough understood. First of all, when you take small amounts of psilocybin, such small amounts that no psychological experience is apparent at all, there is a measurable increase in visual acuity. Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to realize that if a hunting animal is in a situation of high competition for resources, and there is an object, a food item in the food chain which imparts increased visual acuity, then those animals which admit that item into their diet are going to outbreed the non-mushroom using population and gain a significant advantage by this means. Psychedelic shamanism is the traditional human response to our dilemma. We must dissolve the boundaries of yours and mine, of inside and outside, even of life and death. We must dissolve these linguistically conferred boundaries and replace them with a sense of the universal flow of energy through a series of vibrating and resonant fields of being. This is this core philosophy that lies behind shamanism, Buddhism, Taoism. This is the perception of the perennial philosophy, and I believe that using the lessons of the 20th century, what was learned at Auschwitz and in the Haight-Ashbury and at Alamogordo and Nagasaki, using the lessons of the 20th century, the new youth culture can at last create a viable human alternative.
In the last million years, 9 times the glaciers have ground south from the poles, freezing the world into ice and confining human populations to subtropical valleys and the warm tropics. 9 times the interglacial periods have come and human populations have spread out over the earth. They didn't have radio, they didn't have antibiotics, contraception, statistical analysis, or the partial differential equation, and yet somehow they managed to get us here. Are we then, as the heirs of that wave front, of the inheritors of a billion-year process, are we in one generation to turn it into a massive pottage? The people we love and the people we hate are swept away by time. Empires, dynasties, continents are swept away by time. And yet our search for security is cast in the dominator culture as a search for permanence. So what you do when you do that is you set yourself at war against the cosmos. I don't think we want to set ourselves up as the crusaders for permanence, but that means softening to the fact of the flow. In Eastern philosophy, this is called the Tao, abandonment to the flow, fitting of the small pattern into the larger pattern. Shamanism is permission to transcend anxiety by accepting the transience of all form.